Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever the case may be, and welcome to the 2017 OSHA In-Service Training. My name is Dan Wallenhurst, and I will be your presenter for today. Don't shoot the sheriff, please. Just listen to the music. Again, my name is Dan Wallenhurst, OSHA Safety and Compliance Officer, and we're going to talk about OSHA right now and what the acronym actually represents. What is OSHA? OSHA represents the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That is the acronym. Why OSHA? 43 years ago, 38 fatalities per day were going on in the United States. Today, around 12 people per day die in the United States, or close to 4,400 annually. Now keep in mind that this covers the grand aspect of all the industries, not just the medical industry or the healthcare industry like us. It covers all industries, construction and everything. So OSHA initiatives, they operate through inspections, answer complaints, and levy fines. When will OSHA arrive? In the event of a fatality, OSHA will arrive in 8 hours. In a catastrophe, it will be 24 hours. A catastrophe has been redesignated, and now the understanding of a catastrophe, according to OSHA, is one or more people hospitalized for a 24-hour period. They'll show up in a loss of amputation, loss of eye or amputation, a whistleblower, a DART score, or a routine inspection. Reporting facilities and catastrophes. What is a fatality? An employee dies. Pretty much that's about as straightforward as we can get. If someone dies, they're going to be out in 8 hours. How do we measure our progress with OSHA? It's done with the OSHA 300 form log that Linda Katai does down at the corporate office, and it should be posted in your respective locations in the buildings, usually in the break room, typically in the break area. What is a hazard assessment? A hazard assessment is done for each and every job by OSHA to determine what are the risks associated with that job, and also to determine what hazards might be present in that job, and if hazards are present. A hazard assessment looks something like this. It identifies the job task, the hazard, hazard type, potential for exposure, frequency of exposure, and required PPE. Many of you have seen this form already. What we did actually in 2016 was add the aspect of physical behavior or aggression by the individuals because our population is changing. And because of that, we want to make sure you are protected and able to defend yourself, not go on the attack, but defend yourself if you find yourself in a compromising position where there's some aggression going on by some of our individuals. And by doing that, we're providing you with behavior support training. Reporting injuries. Injuries, no matter how minor, are to be reported to your supervisor or the nursing department immediately. Failure to report injuries or illness may result in a delay or denial of workman's compensation benefits. All injuries must be reported by the end of your shift. What's a near miss? A near miss is something that almost happened. A near miss could be defined as someone spotting water on the floor and saying, you know what, we need to get this cleaned up and taken care of. So that would be a near miss, that somebody said, gee, something could have happened really bad had we not taken some action to resurrect and fix the situation. Incident reporting. An incident report is a form used for tracking unusual occurrence, injuries to staff and campers or residents, or our individuals. If you are injured while on duty, an incident report needs to be completed immediately or before the end of your shift. If you are not able to finish your shift, it needs to be done in 24 hours. Why is this important? Because once you fill out that incident report, then we can go back to that incident report if you have a more serious injury or it's determined that you're going to require more treatment. Incident reporting continued. The need to review an incident report with new employees is they're located at the nurse's station. They should be returned to the nurse and report only the facts in the event you are a witness. In other words, don't exaggerate. The safety committee then tracks each of these incident reports to identify trends or things that we can fix. It can be rectified through changes of equipment or altering equipment or individual and staff behaviors, and just trying to change some of the circumstances that can cause these incidents, provided they're being repeated. Incident reporting continued and must be completed in concert with the duty nurse, so the involved staff can be assessed. The nurse will actually check you out and determine whether you need to go out for treatment right away, or whether you'll be able to finish the shift and go home and then come back the next day. And if you come back the next day and you're fine to go to work, that's fine. If you call in the next day and say, hey, I got a real problem, looks like my ankle was more than a sprain, I can't hardly walk on it this morning, then we're going to go ahead and get you treatment under a BWC claim, and we'll have that incident report to go back to and say, here's when and what happened. This is a picture of an incident report. Many of you have seen these already. And the flip side. A safety committee, what does the safety committee do? The safety committee meets weekly, and they review these incident reports, and they try and track each incident and determine what types of accidents, equipment was involved, the location of the incident, the staff, individual involved, and transitional work, or accommodating the injuries. If you are minorly injured, we're going to try and accommodate you the best that we can so you can continue to work. OSHA topics we're going to discuss today is record keeping, slips, trips, and falls, emergency evacuation procedures, hazardous materials, or the new SDS, and personal protective equipment. High-risk areas. Typically in our buildings, especially the larger ones, there's kitchen areas and there's dining areas, and a lot of times things get spilled on the floor and maybe they don't get cleaned up right away. So it's really important to address those things and get those things cleaned up in a timely fashion, because if not, you could step in some pudding, or you could step in some water, or any type of food could cause you to slip. We've done some investigations at some of our locations, and we're able to identify some of those things and get those fixed and rectified and improved. Showers are also high-risk areas, and especially in the winter, you'll notice the sidewalks and the parking lots during the winter hours. We try to get the sidewalks the best we can. It's nearly impossible to get all the parking lots perfect to get you in there, so just use some caution when navigating the parking lots in the winter. Bomb threat procedure. In the event there's a bomb threat at one of your locations, the important thing that you need to do is signal another person and let them know it's a bomb threat, okay? So then keep that person on the phone and try and determine from that person the location where the bombs might be, identify the caller, try to identify characteristics of the caller. Are they older? Are they younger? Are they males? Are they females? All these are important information, so make some notes if you need to, and keep that person on the phone as long as you can. Bomb procedure continued. Any person in the building that did not answer the phone must evacuate the building immediately. Take all the residents and individuals to the far end of the parking lot and wait. If the weather is bad, we need to bring some vehicles where we can run the heaters in those vehicles to keep them warm, especially when it's really cold out. No one is to re-enter the building until instructed by the proper authorities, because everybody's coming in on a bomb threat. Heat and smoke detectors, you'll find these located throughout the building. They will send out an alarm in the event smoke is detected or heat is detected. Fire extinguishers. There are ABC fire extinguishers located throughout the building. These can be used on any type of fire, whether it's a gasoline fire, whether it's an oil fire, whether it's a fire in a trash can. The ABCs can be used anywhere. There are Type K fire extinguishers used for grease fires and are located in the kitchen only. Use a fire extinguisher only to rescue. Never fight the fire and use the pass method. You want to pull the pin, aim the hose, squeeze the handle, and sweep the fire. When you're doing this, make sure you're hitting the base of the fire. If you're hitting the flames up high, you're probably not going to have much of an impact. So go after the base of the fire. Fire suppression system. Each of these kitchens have fire suppression systems. They have a dry powder that will come down and is tripped by 165-degree heat, or a heat sensor that will activate that. Evacuate the area immediately when the system is tripped. If it is connected to the fire alarm system. What do we do in the event of a fire or a suspected fire or there's smoke in the building? I want you to remember these things right here. The RACE program, R-A-C-E. So the first one is rescue, alarm, let everybody know what's going on, pull the alarm or just start screaming and make a lot of noise, contain it by closing the doors, and evacuate the building. So when you think of what to do, your first reaction in the time of a fire or a suspected fire or smoke or something happened out of the ordinary, you want to race in like Wonder Woman. You want to hit the alarm, and a lot of the times you can do these simultaneously just by making noise, saying, hey, we got a fire. And if it's an alarm, someone should pull it. You want to close the door to contain the fire, and then keep calm and evacuate. And that's the key. Keep calm and evacuate. A lot of times I've seen fire drills where we actually had Bureau of Workmen's Comp claims because people were trying to rush out of the building and trying to drag beds, and the wheels were still locked on them. So please remain calm and methodically evacuate the building. Tornado and severe weather policy. There are safe areas in the building that are designated tornado areas. Typically, these do not have windows. A lot of times they can be hallways. So the secondary safe area would be a bathroom or offices, anything located near the center of the building and not exposed to windows. In the event of a tornado that would come pretty quickly, hop into a bathroom. If you're trying to move one person and you can hear noise going on out there, open that door and get in a room and close the door, even if it's a bathroom, and take that person in the wheelchair with you. Severe weather procedures. Or tornado watch is the possibility of a tornado. And typically today our weather systems are pretty accurate and pretty advanced to prepare us for these type of things, but still the unexpected can happen. So I'll watch the shift chart. The shift charge nurse will take charge regardless of the shift and the time. They're in charge. They will let you know when there is a watch on. So at least we need to be aware that conditions are right that could provide a tornado. So you will prepare the primary safe areas. The primary safe areas, like, could be a hallway. You want to get anything out of there that could be an obstruction to bringing wheelchairs in there if we need to bring them in quickly. Red up the floor, get things off and picked up, and get ready to use those areas if we need to quickly. You want to remove any loose equipment, store the books, remove wheelchair chargers, remove any tables and chairs or slide them to the side, and make this available as a primary safe area in the event of a tornado. This is a watch. This is a preliminary thing to get ready for. Tornado warning. Okay, it's all hands on deck at this point in time. You need to get the individuals to a safe area because one is headed in your direction. Now, a lot of times these don't have a huge wide path, but they could typically hit a building and could typically hit one of our buildings. You want to make sure you're in one of those primary areas. Make sure all the doors are closed and the individuals are comfortable. Might want to take some extra water with you if you need to. The charge nurse will announce when the all clear is given. Usually comes from the west and usually lasts 2 to 10 minutes, so they happen pretty quickly. But do not do anything until the nurse goes ahead and cancels the warning. Emergency response plan. Every location under the Echoing Hills Village umbrella has an emergency response plan. What happens if my building is destroyed? In the event of a tornado, in the event of a flood, what do we do with everybody? Each one is a little bit different. So the purpose of this plan is to prepare employees for emergency situations where you may have to relocate all the individuals. For example, maybe somebody in Dayton, the locations in Dayton, might want to come to the Echoing Hills campus if it's available temporarily. A lot of times they'll have a connection with a nursing home that's available in the area where they can relocate to them, where they can get the electricity and the oxygen and a lot of the medications and essentials that are needed. The plan is designed to minimize or prevent damage to human health and the environment. Emergency action plans. This is a written plan. Each of you have them. Keep it in the workplace and available for employees to review. Be aware of this. And also be aware that there's a diagram in every building to tell you how to get out of the building. And keep in mind this, your nearest exit where the fire is at could be blocked by a fire. So always be prepared if you need to go out of a window if that's necessary. And take that individual with you in an emergency situation. If you got a fire closing in on you, be prepared for anything. Minimum elements of an emerging plan is procedures for reporting a fire or other emergencies, procedures for emergency evacuation, including the type of evacuation and exit route assignments, procedures to be followed by employees who remain to operate critical parts of the operation of the building before they evacuate. That could be a maintenance person. Again, these procedures account for all the individuals and employees after the evacuation. So the building might not be usable, so you might have to relocate. OSHA citations, and one thing you need to remember is OSHA will come out and give you citations, and if we are not training what we've just talked about as far as the evacuation plans, and we don't have that thing in place, you could be set up for a fine. These are some of the historical citations that we've received. As you can see, some of them are pretty sizable. Right now, they're probably going to be much more expensive than this. These were back probably 13 years ago, so 13, 14 years ago. So we want to make sure that we're up to speed and make sure we avoid any of these citations. Confined spaces. Some of you have confined spaces, some of you do not. So just be aware if there's a particular confined space in your location, you do need a permit to enter that. So if you're not sure whether it's confined or not, you reach out to me at the corporate office and we'll make a decision on that. If we need to get a permit, there are certain things that have to happen as far as a lookout and someone watching in the event someone needs to enter a confined space to do some maintenance work. That's typically what they're for. Let's talk a little bit about where we used to be with the material safety data sheets and where we are today with the safety data sheets. In 2012, OSHA decided that we needed a new hazard communication program. And so they actually went global with this. So anywhere you go to work, worldwide, if you change jobs today, you're probably going to get retrained on this. What it is a reminder that says, we are now a global system that's worldwide. Everything is, all these symbols are standardized, and everything is standardized with a 16 section sheet SDS form. So we'll talk about in a few minutes. So let's talk about the division of pictograms, and some of them are physical hazards, some of them are health hazards. You can see some of them are actually redundant or duplicate each other. As you can see, we'll go through these because there's some more slides coming up here where you get a better picture of them and a better look at them. So we got the physical hazards or dangers associated with substances and materials, and the pictograms associate the hazards. Gas cylinder, one might be a gas cylinder in one of our buildings. It could be an oxygen tank. So we do have those in our buildings, and they do need to have this sticker on them with the red triangle, white background, and the black picture inside. Corrosion. What do we have that's corrosive in the building? Probably the highest corrosive substance you'd have in a building would be like a toilet bowl cleaner and a bleach, because those would actually burn your skin. You can see that little representation there, that if you put toilet bowl cleaner on your hand and you're not using the yellow flock gloves and you decide to use the real thin plastic gloves or the vinyl gloves, they're probably going to burn right through there. So make sure that we're dealing with corrosion. And again, the most corrosive things probably in your building would be toilet bowl cleaner and bleach. Exploding bomb. We don't deal with explosives here, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that one. Flame over circle is an oxidizer. What's an oxidizer? An oxidizer is something that can be tripped when one chemical enters the space of another chemical. Let me try and make this as simple as I can. If someone is cleaning a toilet and they put bleach in there, and someone else comes in behind it and decides to put toilet bowl cleaner in there, those chemicals are going to react like that. They're going to give off some fumes, and you're going to be in trouble very quickly, and you're going to need to get some fresh air. We actually had a BWC claim at one of our locations where somebody in the kitchen, one of the kitchen workers, put some bleach in the toilet off of the bathroom, off of the kitchen there, and they put it in there trying to brighten up the porcelain. And the maintenance guy came in behind him later in the afternoon and put toilet bowl cleaner in there. It actually turned out where he missed several days' work simply because he was overwhelmed by the fumes. So the oxidizer is, don't mix things. Flame, you want to be careful that we don't have things that are flammable. If you see that on a can, we don't want to store it in a little storage building or a utility room that has a gas water heater in there where there could be an open flame. Health hazards, and these are a lot of the things. This is a carcinogen here, and the reason that that is a concern is that would be something that would be absorbed by your skin or breathing something in. Again, we're going to talk about the corrosion. This could be eye damage or skin corrosion and burns. If you see the crossbones and skull, that is not for a pirate ship. That is acute toxicity, and it's pretty poisonous. There's one that's higher than that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this is a carcinogens, and this is something that can be affecting your internal organs, either by a chemical that's absorbed through your skin or that you would breathe into your lungs. It could mess with your reproductive glands, and it could target organ toxicity. Exclamation point is acute toxicity. You see this label on a container of battery acid. Okay, there's the label elements on these labels. You will have the product identifier. That's in section 1 of the SDS, the signal word, danger or warning, and the pictogram, which will always be a red diamond, white background, and a black symbol inside, just like that. These are the 2012 training requirements. You understand the hazard statements, what is the nature of the hazard, including when appropriate, the nature of the hazard, a precautionary statement, a manufacturer distributor identification with their name, address, and phone number. Understanding the SDS. Let's talk about the form a minute because there's 16 sections here. The headers must be there. Section 1 through 11 and 16 are OSHA enforced. Section 12 through 15 are not mandatory, not under OSHA jurisdiction. Each section has required subheadings. 16 sections. Can you remember 2 of them for me? These are the most important in our industry. I want you to remember section 4 and section 8. So when you hold up 4 fingers, you got section 4. You hold up the other 4, you got section 8. So remember 4 and 8. Section 4 is first aid. That will tell you what to do in case one of our individuals ingests something or drinks something or gets something on them. That will tell you immediately what to do. So go right to section 4 of the 16 section SDS sheet. Section 8 is exposure controls. Understand what type of PPE you need to do the task that you're doing with the chemicals that you're being asked to do it with. For example, you don't want to clean the toilet with vinyl powder-free gloves. You want to use the yellow flock gloves. Why? Let's go back a few slides. Remember what I said, the corrosive material? What's the most corrosive material that we have? It is probably toilet bowl cleaner. It will eat your skin. It will eat through a vinyl glove. It will not eat through the yellow flock gloves. So make sure you're using the proper PPE when you use that. That will always be under section 8 of that particular chemical that you're working with. Personal protective equipment is specialized equipment to protect you against infectious materials. It must be worn properly, cleaned, and it is no cost to employees. It must be removed when leaving an area upon contamination. More on PPE, I'll probably never be able to say this enough, is PPE, the corporation will identify workplace hazards. Remember when we went back in the beginning and we looked at that slide and it said, what are the workplace hazards associated with doing dishes, with cleaning the toilet, with caring for an individual, with brushing their teeth, with providing, changing dressing on a wound. Make sure you understand that there are PPE required with each one of those, and that was explained to you on that form we did farther back in the presentation. PPE is to be used when no other control methods have been exhausted. Examples of PPE are gloves, shoes, face shields, glasses, hard hats, helmets, boots, aprons, and etc. When PPE is identified, it is the employee's duty to follow the proper usage of equipment. Failure to wear the proper PPE in identified situations may lead to disciplinary actions. In other words, make sure you're wearing your safety glasses. Lockout tagout policy. In certain situations, we are going to have to shut down equipment or the electrical power or the source of electricity to maybe change a plug somewhere in the building or an outlet or a light switch. So we want to make sure that's de-energized. So what we want to do is make sure when you see a tag like this that only one person has the key. That's your maintenance person. And if you don't have power to something, it's probably because that's locked out and tagged out. And you go back to check the breaker and you see that tag on there, understand that that's our policy that they're using those. Again, these are some of the different types of lockout tagout mechanisms that you'll see. All right, we're going to take a little test. Okay, what does OSHA stand for? Occupational Health and Safety Administration, Outstanding Home and Safety Achievement, Opportunities for Security and Happy Allowances, or Oversensitive Happy Android. Obviously, the answer is A, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, Health and Safety Administration. If you are walking through the dining room kitchen and notice spilled water on the floor, you should call maintenance and head for the break room for a snack. You should pretend you didn't see it and keep walking. You should notify everyone in the area, begin a cleanup, and put up a wet floor sign, or tell the queues that they are responsible for the individual that caused the spill. If an employee experiences an injury while at work, that employee should fill out an employee satisfaction survey, a rebate form, an incident report, or a job application at a different organization. Of course, we want to fill out an incident report. Make sure you fill them out correctly. Please fill them out legibly. A lot of these ones I look at, it takes me 20 minutes to read something that it should have taken 5 minutes because I have to decipher the letters and the penmanship on them. A SDS safety data sheet is a document with 16 sections. It describes hazardous materials, a universal signal used in an emergency, a sexually transmitted disease, or a form used by whistleblowers. The answer obviously is A, a document with 16 sections that describes hazardous materials. You're walking down the hall and notice smoke coming out of an individual's room. You should go to the nurse's station and ask if there's a new designated smoking area. You should keep walking and let the next person deal with it, like the last call light you walk by. You should run out to your car and call 911, or you should initiate rescue, the RACE program. Rescue, alarm, contain, and evacuate. I want you to race in like Wonder Woman. I want you to pull the alarm, contain it by closing the doors, and keep calm, 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 and evacuate the building. What does PPE stand for? PowerPoint exam, personal protein energizer, professional protection equivalent, or personal protection equipment? The answer is D, personal protection equipment. During a tornado warning, you should call the Weather Channel to verify, go outside and try to get a picture with your cell phone, move your car to a safer location, or move all the individuals to the primary or secondary storm shelter area and remain there until the all clear is given. Obviously, that's the last one there. Thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I hope I did it in a timely fashion, and have a great day.
Hey, good morning. My name is Aaron Beaver. I'm one of the safety officers with the Confined Valley Fire District.
Rick Collison, fireman with the Confined Valley Fire District.
I'm Jordan Regal. I'm a fireman also. We've been asked to come out and answer some questions, give you an overview of what we expect from you in the event of an actual fire, and to answer any questions you may have before and after an incident. The building here is equipped with an automatic fire alarm, which means that if there is a water flow detection from a sprinkler system, whether a smoke alarm goes off, it automatically calls our dispatch. And at that point, they will then call us. From the time of alert up through our pagers to our time on scene, it will be approximately 25 minutes. A little less during the day because we have paid personnel on station from anywhere from 7 in the morning to 5 at night. First thing when we get here, whoever's on the first truck in will obviously try and do a walk around of as much of the building as possible. They're going to look for people that are evacuated, look to see if there is any smoke and where it's coming from, and try and see where our closest water source is. There are hydrants here that we can use, but the pond out back will probably also use as well to set up a draft point to give us some more water. Depending on where it's at in the severity, there will be a lot of apparatus here. From our department, Three Rivers Department, Jackson Township, possibly even a ladder truck from the city of Coshocton, and whoever else we deem necessary. 9 times out of 10, even during the day, you'll probably see an ambulance first before you see a fire truck. They have a quicker response time out of the door because they don't have to put their gear on. They might possibly not have to wait for additional personnel to get there. So you'll probably see an ambulance first before a fire truck. Do not hesitate to tell them what's going on, because they can then in turn tell us over the radio or through dispatch. In the event of an actual fire, we would like for everyone to be evacuated from the immediate fire area first. Say there's a fire just outside of the kitchen here. Evacuate everyone in the close vicinity first, away from the fire. Do not come past the fire to evacuate, go away from it. Try and keep as much of this area, parking area out front, open as possible, so that way we can get our hoses and appliances and everything set up and have an ease of in and out of the building from this side or whichever side the fire is involved. If it's in the back corner over here, try and keep that as open as possible. If it's up here, try and keep this as open as possible. Back in this side here will probably be a little harder for us to gain access to, but please keep in mind, we're going to be moving quick. Don't think you're in our way if you're getting people out, because you're saving lives. You're doing a lot of our job for us that we can help you do. Just keep doing what you're doing until everyone's out of the building. We're not going to stop you. If you're in a non-essential part of the building that's being evacuated, we will more than likely assist you, because we will be very short-handed for approximately 30 to 40 minutes. So we won't stop you, but we will help you. Okay? Do we have any questions at this point? Sorry.
How many firefighters could we expect within that first half hour?
Within that first half hour, you could be expecting anywhere from 15 to 25, depending on the turnout and the report the first engine gives on scene. If it is a confirmed fire, I guarantee we'll go ahead and upgrade to a full second alarm, which means you'll get 3 additional fire departments along with ours to this particular area. You'll have a lot of tankers, and you'll have a lot of engines and personnel. The tankers will probably be moving back and forth, if not sitting around at essential parts of the building to supply water to the fire.
Okay.
Any other questions? Does everyone know how to use a fire extinguisher? Okay. No?
No.
Okay. PASS. Pull, aim, sweep, squeeze. Squeeze and sweep, I'm sorry. When you pull the fire extinguisher off of the wall, you're going to pull the pin first, almost like a hand grenade. Then you're going to aim the nozzle at the seat of the fire, not over it, not underneath over the side of it, but right where you see the fire coming from. Then you'll squeeze the lever down, then you'll just sweep back and forth across the bottom. So PASS. Note your pin here. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about the seal. They're going to put a new one on once this is used anyway. Just inside of here, you can see where the valve is. When you push this down, that'll open the valve that will then produce the chemical out of here that'll put the fire out. They just aim this at the seat of the fire and sweep back and forth.
What are some general guidelines of whether we should decide to fight the fire or evacuate the building, I guess?
If it's a small fire, what I mean by a small fire is maybe something that 3 by 3 that's not giving off a lot of smoke.
Like a trash can, for
Like a trash can. If it's in a patient's room, absolutely. Grab a fire extinguisher and put it out while you're pulling the patient out. Still, even then, call the fire department. We'll come out, we'll do an investigation, we'll make sure that it hasn't extended into the wall or any surrounding areas. We'll give you a report number, we'll allow you access to our report once it's submitted to the state, so that you have that for your records also. But if there is an imminent danger to a patient or staff, absolutely, use a fire extinguisher. If it grows beyond the capability of one fire extinguisher, by all means, have the fire department immediately. Everyone know their emergency evacuation drill. Okay. How many patients roughly do you have? How many patients do you roughly have on site at any given time?
24, 23.
25. Okay. Is there room for any more than that, or?
We could have one more for a waiver.
Okay. So up to 26?
Yeah.
And almost all those are in the back wings of the facility, correct?
No, there's one down this hall,
Okay.
and then throughout.
In an actual emergency event, if my numbers are correct, the full evacuation should be done within 15 minutes. I mean, staff and clients alike. Roughly 20 to 25 minutes, everyone should be out and accounted for. When you do your fire drill, do you do an accountability of patients and staff once everyone is out? You remember what your time was the last time that happened?
We try to do it. Fire drills are under 5 minutes.
Okay.
A total evac.
Total evac's up to 15.
Okay.
We try to do under 15.
That's very satisfactory. That's outstanding. I don't think, if you can do better than that, absolutely. 15 minutes is great. I know the high school, we've been on them for quite some time now, and they struggle to get it under 5 minutes. So, with the staff you have on here, with the clientele, that's outstanding. Definitely keep that going. That's very good. Any other questions from us as far as what you could do to help us? All right, what can we do to help you?
Get here in 20 minutes.
We'll aim for 20 minutes. We can try and do that. But is there anything you would like to have from us as far as come out and do walkthroughs?
And we're typically under Medicaid oversight, so we have annual surveys anyways, but the fire marshal, he just met with the fire marshal, state fire marshal too. So.
Okay.
So we're required to keep those records, but we're also required to have you guys come out and at least have a conversation about a logical way to approach the worst case scenario of a fire. But one question I have, we have two buildings here that are pretty close to each other.
Okay.
That's the business office over there.
Correct.
And if one's on fire, do we make a decision on evacuating the other one, or does it depend on the extent, or you're probably going to be here at that point anyways?
Right.
And determine that, but I guess what would be the logical approach to if one's on fire, if this one's on fire, do those get out? If that one's on fire, should these folks get out?
With the proximity of that building to this one, the only time I would foresee an evacuation of this building is if the administration building over there was completely involved, which means there's fire shooting out of every window.
Okay.
That would cause a danger to this structure here due to the possibility
Depending
of
on
a
the wind
collapse.
direction too, probably, right?
Wind direction, but more along the lines of a collapse.
Okay.
Our danger zone, or our red zone around the fire scene, is 1.5 times the height of the building. So if you have a 3-story building, an additional story and a half is the perimeter we would make around it for collapse. So that building there would actually put this building in its collapse zone.
Okay.
But if it is a light involvement, which means it's contained to a couple rooms or contained to a majority of a single floor upstairs, I would not foresee the need to evacuate this building. That would be up to the incident commander, fire chief, or whoever he designates in his stead.
You guys would be here by then.
Right,
anyway,
we would be
so
here and
give us some direction on that.
we would give that recommendation.
Okay.
There would be a sheriff's office presence also anything that would be involved here, I'm pretty sure that the incident commander would call for a fire investigation just to cover everyone's hind end. You know, if it was a large involvement, and heaven forbid if there's a loss of life, it is a no questions asked, a fire marshal was brought in. But if it is just something isolated to a trash can or something like that, I wouldn't foresee a full-fledged investigation by a state investigator. Any other questions? Comments? Okay.
Like, I was just wondering, when we're getting the individuals out, how far should we get away from the building? As far as we can, or like, cause there are like, I know out one of our exits, it's just a little patio and then down a hill.
Okay.
And then like in this patio, there's just other parts of the building. So like, how far do we go in that?
Approximately 100 feet. Because within 100 feet of the perimeter, you're going to be out of the building's collapse zone and be out of the danger zone. So if you can get the patients and the staff roughly 100 feet from the structure, that would be fantastic. If you can't get them that far right away, don't sweat it. Just do your best and try and get as far away as physically possible and as safe as possible.
If you still feel heat, you're probably still coming to us.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you so much.